Hey everyone, this is Daniel, I Am Builders. We're here at I Am Builders HQ. Just got to the office, but I want to share a quick story with you before I walked in the door. So a couple days ago, I published the how I Am Builders got started and my story, how I got into construction and how all the steps that led to us getting building a construction company, a construction and estimating company that helps contractors. So this is the story of how I was part of the transformation of a $7 million commercial drywall company. So let me put you back in that place where I was. So I think it was like what, 5-6 years ago, something like that. So I talked about before how I went to school for architecture and I worked at a couple different positions. So I was a superintendent at CamCon Group. So that was my first construction job. That was like my boot camp. We did a bunch of projects, 5-story buildings. We did renovations for University of Miami. It was a great. It was like the best thing that could have ever happened to get me. It's like like I said, it's a boot camp. So when I was there, my first project was the Bacardi building. We did a two-floor renovation. So I was the superintendent. I managed that whole job. And while I was there, I met Paolo Stucchi, who is the owner of Coroni Interiors, who's a commercial drywall subcontractor. And that's where I first met him. And you know, when you're on the job, you become friends with the subcontractors. You become friends with everybody that's part of the job. So I remember we got to know each other. We got to we overcome a bunch of issues on the job. And I remember on that job, that I became really good friends to the point where one day I saw him doing a bunch of patches and free work and staying overtime and coming on the weekends. And I go, hey, Paolo, like, are you charging for this? Like, I know this is my company and I'm supposed to, kind of like take care of it, but you're a friend to me. So are you submitting change orders for this? Are you submitting a bill for this? And he goes, no. I don't want to submit a bill for that because I want to do a good job. I don't want to charge too much change orders. I want to get more work. And I go, oh, that's great. But I was always trained. I used to work. I had a job before that called Titus Construction. I was an assistant project manager, and I learned something from the owner. The owner, these are one of these like money hungry type of guys. But something they said stuck, and I said, you know what? That's interesting because he said, change orders are the lifeblood of this business. And I go, for some reason that stuck with me. I don't know, maybe the word lifeblood was cool. I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, so I told Paolo, I go, man, I think we need to be, I don't want to like, I think you should be charging for change orders. He goes, no, I'm not going to do that. All right. I told him, my advice is though, just in case, as a backup, take pictures and take a bunch of log the hours and everything that you're doing, just in case. So anyways, so they moved me to another job. I hadn't seen Paolo like in 2 or 3 months. And he calls me one day. I was driving home from work. I was actually passing by a Home Depot. It was funny. And it was dark. And he calls me. He goes, I want to rip. I'm not going to say his name just in case, but I want to rip Marcos Fernandez. Oh, I said it anyway. I want to rip his head off. And I go, what do you mean? What happened? What's going on? And he goes, they're charging me a $20,000 change order because they said that my drywall finish wasn't good. And I go, what do you mean? So me and him talked back and forth, and he told me about how they had to they had to do patchwork, and the electricians, and then the project manager kept pushing, and then they eventually then Paolo had to come back with his guys to patch the work, and then the electricians forgot outlets and J boxes and things like that in the wall, so they had to go back and repatch things, and everything was a level 5 finish. Imagine that, level 5. So imagine you finish everything level 5, and then they had this like specialty chalk paint, to write on the walls, but it wasn't like the cheap ones that you buy at Home Depot. It was like a specialty, very expensive, high-end type of stuff. So the finish needed to look flawless. So he tells me the painter had to go back and redo a bunch of work, and they had to go back and refinish, and they hired some other company to do all this extra work. And I was so pissed because I know the reason that the patchwork came out bad was because of the rush. And you know how construction is. I think you can rush in construction, but you have to logically sequence the work in order to not go back and have to redo work. Because if you have to go redo work, it takes 3 times. Because you got to do it, you got to undo it, and you got to redo it. So it takes 3 times when you're in a rush. So I was so pissed. And I go, look, this is my company. I don't want to, this is my company, and, you know, I don't want to kind of tell you to charge us, but hey, remember when I told you to use the pictures and to take a bunch of pictures and to log all these extra hours? He goes, yeah. He goes, use it. You didn't hear that from me. And I hung up. So he goes back and he shows up a couple days later to their office. Actually, he calls his project manager, his superintendent, his foreman. He calls everybody. He says, hey, everybody that worked on the Bacardi job, send me all the pictures of all the patchwork and everything that you've done. So he sends it over. He spends a couple days with his team building out a case. So he walks into, a couple days later, he walks into CamCon's office and he says, oh, we need to have a meeting. He just shows up. Paulo's a 6'4" guy, or I don't know. He's really tall. But he walks in and he goes, I need to have a meeting with you. And Marcos is like this little short, like 5'5" guy or something like that. So imagine. So he walks in, he sits down with him and the owner of CamCon, and he goes, hey, you want to charge me? I'm okay with a back charge. I'm fine with it. But then you're going to have to pay me for this change order, this change order, this change order, this change order. And he dropped out, I don't know, like 10, 15 change orders, totaling $26,000. And he goes, go ahead and back charge me, but I'm going to charge you all these change orders. And I'm legally able to do that. And they freaked out. They're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you didn't even know about that. I didn't know. Because the thing that sometimes with GCs, they look at us, they look at subcontractors, and they're like, man, these guys are not educated. They think they look down on them and things like that. And I don't think that's right, you know. And whatever, he ended up, they told him, look, let's just cancel the change order and we'll call it even. So after that, I was like, oh man. I mean, it's a success. It was great. I mean, thank God that my people didn't know that I was the one that kind of told them. But anyways, I don't know. I believe what's right is right. So anyways, Paolo for the next couple months was trying to recruit me. He would call me. Hey, he would tell me. He was like a Star Wars guy. Me and him both like Star Wars. So he goes like, come to the dark side. He would do the Darth Vader deep voice thing. And he would call me every 2 to 3 weeks. Oh, I'm growing my company. I need help. I want you to be on my team. I want you to be on my team. And I'm like, no. I want to be a GC. I want to be a GC. I want to be a GC. So fast forward, he finally at some point convinced me, you know, after working on the job sites 70, 80 hours, overtime, nighttime, you're like, oh man, forget this. I want to be back at the office. So he finally recruits me. We have a meeting. We talk about salary, everything. We talk about the goals, and we're like, let's do it. Boom. So I leave CamCon and join Coroni. And what's up, George? Yeah, my teddy bear. So Paolo, George, my friend George, that's live here. He just reminded me. So Paolo used to call me his teddy bear killer. It's funny because, so I have this like nice, like calm persona, right? But then I would sit there and I would, since I was the senior project manager, and you know how GCs are always trying to take advantage of the subs. So they would call me, and they're like, oh no, we're not gonna pay for this change order. Oh no, I need you guys there tomorrow. And I'm like, nope, sign my change order. Nope. And then I would get into arguments in the middle of the office, like yelling at people like, oh, if you don't sign my change order, I'm gonna walk off the job. And like I would get heated. But it was so funny because like I have this super calm, like very patient persona, like personality. And so he would call me his teddy bear killer, because the GCs would try all those fast ones and sticking things in the scope and changing the payment terms and all that tricky stuff that they always do. And nothing ever got by me because I know how to stand up for it. Most subs don't know how to handle that, but we did. So anyways, that was a funny story about that. But anyways, so I walk into Coroni and I'm here thinking like, wow, you know, Coroni is such a big company. They're a big drywall contractor, because Paolo sold me on that, right? So I walk in and it turns out that at the time they were selling about $2 million in just labor. They were giving labor to another company called Lot Speech, and they had just gotten their first GC jobs, like their own jobs. And I'm like, oh man, what did I get myself into? what did I get myself into? I just left a good job and a good, you know, career direction, and I just came to be a subcontractor. And what did I do? I walk in, they don't have any, their emails all messed up. Their all their paperwork is in binders, old school. They didn't really have a system. It was like they just got their first couple GC jobs, and I'm like, oh, man, this is not sustainable. So throughout that time, the first thing I did was I said, actually my first assignment was, they had submitted all these tickets for change orders to one of the projects they were doing, Broward College, and for like 6 months went by and they hadn't gotten paid. So I go, let me go take care of this. So I walk over there. I meet the project managers of the GC, and I asked them, do you need me to convert these tickets into change orders so we could submit them in the next payout? Yep, that's it, and we can get you paid. Pfft. It's so funny how something so simple, a professional drywall contractor, this is something they don't teach in school. I mean, not in school. This is something they don't teach like on the job. Like, you figure these things out by beating your head against the wall. So anyway, so I walk in there. We get, by the next month, we already had all our, I think it was like 7 or 8 change orders submitted and paid. Boom. And after that, they were like, oh my gosh. Ah. So basically, at that point, after that, everything I said, there was a joke in the office that everything I said, Paolo did. Because everybody was like, oh, if you want something, ask Danny, because Danny can get Paolo to do things. And we switched the, we did the website, we did the emails, we set up, I went on a mission to figure out a project management software because they didn't have one. They were doing everything like by hand, Excel, like memory, taking notes, and that's like, you can't do it. You can't run a $1 million. Paolo had this dream of having a $20 million drywall company, and I'm like, you can't do that like this. We're gonna have to flip everything upside down and just redo it. So we created, so I interviewed with Procore. I did demo with Buildertrend, CoreCon, with all these other project management softwares, and everything was like not for us. Procore was like $1 million a year. Buildertrend wasn't for us, and then we like did a bunch of demos, and the only one that worked was this one called CoreCon. And actually, that's when I said, you know what, I want to build a construction management software because all of these suck, and I want to do one that's for the little guys, the small subcontractors. And guess what? We're actually doing it now. We just build out. It's called Capstone. We haven't released it yet, but it's coming very, very soon. I'll tell you more about it in some upcoming videos. Maybe check out our website and you can see more about it. But anyways, where was I? Oh, okay. So whatever, long story short, we flip everything out. We put systems in the estimating. We hire a bunch of foremen to manage each job. We decide, at that point we have projects in Brickell City Center. We had a bunch of little $20,000 jobs, $30,000 jobs. And I told them, I go, hey, let's grow this thing. Forget about these little $20,000 jobs, because you're getting, every time you get a project, you got a new superintendent, a new set of plans, a new set of revisions, basically new headaches every single job. And the little jobs are always the ones that are like 2-3 months in and out, quick. And it's like so stressful. And I said, let's go after $200,000, $300,000, $500,000 jobs. We can do it. It's not harder to do a $500,000 job than a little job. It's the same work. It just takes longer. You're still putting up the same 20 gauge framing. You're still putting up the same drywall. You're still finishing the same work. You just need more people and more time. That's it. And you got less headaches. You got more duration. The people are not as stressed, and you can manage it better, much easier, better profits, bigger job. You don't need to have 20 jobs at a time or 30 jobs to run your company. You can have 3 big jobs, maybe a couple little ones for cash flow purposes. The only thing we need to do is add the credit line to make sure. So anyways, so then fast forward, we started getting these bigger jobs. And then I told you a story about how I ended up leaving Coroni because I had to pay for my wedding, and I started doing estimating on the side. I paid for my wedding, and I was like, man, I'm making way too much money. So I remember coming back from my honeymoon, and I sat with Paolo and I go, man, I'm really sorry about this, but I have to go and build my company. And he goes, how much are you making? Because he was trying to match me. And I go, no, I just tripled my salary in 1 week. And he's like, oh, he goes, okay, well, mind you, he's an immigrant that started from nothing, so he knows what it's like to build a company. So he tells me, look, Daniel, go. He goes, Daniel, go and build your company, because in America, that's what we can do. We can build our companies. That's how he sounds actually. So, so I went and I started I Am Builders, and then fast forward a few years, they're at $7 million now. They went from literally almost zero. I think they were probably like maybe like $100,000 of their own jobs. They went from zero to $7 million in like 3 or 4 years or something like that. And they have a small team, small crew, and to this day they're still implementing all the stuff that I kind of figured out, and we tested things, the estimating process, creating priorities, creating a master bid list, all the stuff that I talk about every single day. That's what that's where I tested all these things. All these are blueprints. So we just launched our Xplode strategy blueprint a couple months ago. It's been a success, and a lot of the ideas that I put in there are from my time there at Coroni, my time there at CamCon. And then fast forward a couple years, after working with over 1,100 clients, you hear what's working and what's not. So that's how we made our blueprint. So what we're teaching, what we're showing our clients, remember, we're an estimating firm, but if I could show you how to get leads, close more sales, win more jobs, and grow your company, I'm going to give you the whole thing. I'm not just going to give you that little piece, which is estimating. You need the whole thing. So we're building out like all these. We're building out the blueprint, our masterclass. We just released we're about to release our software that's for our busy contractor. Super simple software to track your projects and leads. It's what we're working on right now. And the reason is because I said, you know what? We're not just an estimating company. I want to help contractors grow their businesses. There's a lot of guys that are stressed, busy. They don't have time. They don't have a life. They're working 80 hours a week. And I said our mission is gonna be to kind of take all that away. Let's us take the burden. Let's use technology for our favor, in our favor. Let me see what I can give our people, our tribe, our crew, our clients. What can we give them to make their lives better? And we're working on that every single day. My team and I were brainstorming ideas, and we're gonna be launching a bunch of stuff coming up. But that's the story of how I was part of Coroni Interiors, how we started. We went from 0 to 7 million in a couple years. And I know that any contractor can do the exact same thing because it's not rocket science. So that's the story. Check me out. My name is Daniel Quindemil, iambuilders.com. Give us a call. You want to hear more about this? I'm one phone call away. See you later.